Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial video on SQL for data analyst. In the last tutorial we look at what is data. We also look at different data types that we have. We talked about date as a data type and also string or character or variant character as a data type, and we gave example of each of these. We also talked about number as a data type, and number could be an integer, um, it could also be a float or decimal. So we gave example of all of this in the last tutorial. So if you have missed any tutorial, make sure that you go back, you look for the previous tutorials before this one. Like I always say that don't miss any of this tutorial because we are building upon current tutorial is building upon the previous one, so you don't want to miss any of the tutorial. Okay, so the focus today is going to be on uh, the focus for our class today, for this tutorial today, is going to be on data sources. Okay, now that we know what data is, say for instance like a refresher, data about yourself could mean information about yourself, details about yourself, your name, your age, your address, okay, the properties you have, your asset, everything about yourself would form data about you. And same thing goes for an organization as well. Um, Customers, the suppliers like vendors, a number of employees, and so many other things for an organization as well would be data for such an organization. So today we want to look at data sources. Where do we get data from? So you as a data analyst that would be working on analyzing data. So the data you want to work on, the data you want to analyze, where does it come from? Where are you going to get the data from? Okay. Now there are different data sources. Wherever data is stored, wherever data is kept, is called data source. So let's say for instance, I I keep information about me in a Word document, Microsoft Word document. Well, that's a data source because that's where the data is. Or maybe I keep information about my customers. I have 20 customers, their names, their email, their cell phone, and so many other details about my customers. And I keep this in an Excel file, an Excel spreadsheet. Well, in that context, that becomes my data source. So what are we saying simply put? Data source is wherever data is kept, and we could have several data sources. So it's good for you to know because this is a word you'll be coming across so many times as data source. So what exactly does it mean? And like my practice, like I always say, don't overthink anything. Data source is data source, just as the name implies, source of data, where data come from, where data comes from. So there are two major category of data source. We have the primary data source, which you can call internal data sources, and we also have secondary data source or external data source. So primary data source would be sources where data are kept internally in an organization. Okay, in a typical enterprise environment, there are different business applications. There will be applications that are used to keep information of customer. That's what we call CRM, customer relationship management application. Say you go to a bank, you want to open a bank account. Of course, they will get all the details about you, your name, your address, your age, your SSN, and everything about you. Okay. Now that is kept in a CRM, application. Behind every business application, there's a database. So your information, the details you give to whoever is opening a bank account for you, the details you give to them and they type in on the screen that you see them typing, once they click on submit, it goes to the database behind that application. You don't get to see that as an account holder. The officer that is opening an account for you does not get to see where the data goes. He only gets the data from you. He imputes them, he types them on the GUI, the graphical user interface of that CRM application. And once that is done, he clicks on submit and it goes to the database where the data is stored. Okay, ERP is another business application. Okay, so ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning System. So just look at this as maybe like SAP, like all those big business applications that companies are using. Okay, we hardly do anything manually these days at this age and time. So most companies will have ERP, a robust software that they are using to manage their back office processes. So CRM majorly is used to manage front office process where customers will come in and you'll be attended to, or whatever you have come to do, whatever transaction you have come to do in that organization is done on CRM. But behind we have other back-end office processes, okay, like approvals and so many other processes that we have. Those are done on ERP. It could be a financial ERP, it could be a marketing ERP, and so many other ERPs that we have. But just see this, both CRM and ERP, as business applications, okay, that companies use to automate their business processes. So behind a CRM, a good CRM application, behind an ERP application, we have what we call a database. So whatever is done on CRM, whatever is done on ERP is logged in the database. So a business application database. And most of those applications that companies use, they have database behind them, because you as a user, before you have an access to either you as an employee, okay, before you have an access to a CRM or an ERP or any other business application that an organization is using, you need to be granted a login access. You need a login credential. Even that is logged in the database. Okay, so that is primary and is internal source because they belong to the organizations. They are within the network of the organization. They are within the enterprise. So that's why they've been referred to as primary or internal data source. The other one that we have is secondary or external data source. Okay, and this could be API. They are external because an API, application programmability interface, is what enables a machine to machine communication. Okay, let's say a simple example that you can relate with easily is if you want to transfer money, say from you make use of Zelle to transfer money. So how do you transfer from Zelle? Because Zelle itself is an application, and you use that to transfer to a bank, a customer, an account holder in another bank. What enables this handshake, this communication? Okay, that's API. Okay, so application programmability interface is that another application can see in order to communicate or to communicate with another application elsewhere. Okay, so we can get data from an API. We can get data from company website. Of course, company website is, we can have internal sites, but those are internal. But external website, like you can go on Amazon, that's a website, so it's not internal. But behind that Amazon website is a database which is internal. And that's why we mention database here. business application database. That's why we mentioned that under primary or internal. But the website itself is external. It's made available to the public. So you and I can go on Amazon and do whatever and place the order and do whatever we want to do. Okay, so we can get data from here and social media as well. Okay, reviews about sales. You go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, and so many other social media platform. Data can also that can serve as a data source as well for organizations. Okay, people that click on like, the number of people that click on like, the number of people that click on like, people that put comment, people that put reviews on product, and we can get data also from institutions, say like the Census Institution for Population, and so many other institutions. Like we get data from World Health Organization about health, and so many organizations like that. Okay, so it is good to let you know at this point that our focus in this tutorial for SQL for Data Analyst is going to be on database, and so to speak is a relational database. You as a data analyst, a beginner, okay, your focus would most likely, okay, be on getting data or analyzing data in a database. And a database would be the the database behind like a CRM application, behind like an ERP application, so that the moment you click on submit or anything, the data goes straight into the database. So in this tutorial, our focus will be on data in a relational database. That's where you get data to query, that's where you get data to analyze, you get data to transform and process. So our focus would be on this. Okay. If I'm saying anything you don't understand, just bear with me. Everything that I've mentioned would be explained. So we'll be looking at what exactly is a database, a relational database. We will look at that, and that will be our next lesson. Now that we've been able to narrow this down, that we won't be looking at data from all these external sources. We'll just be looking at data from a primary or an internal source, and the focus is going to be on database, which is behind any business application that an organization is using. An organization can have up to 1,000 business applications, they can have 10,000 business applications, they can have as many as possible. Behind all those business applications, because HR department can have 1,000 applications, marketing department, sales department, all those cross-functional units in an organization, they have business applications that they use for to automate their business process. And behind all of them are database. And that would be the primary source that we'll be looking at for our analysis in this course. So thank you for watching, and I will see you